chief guest has arrived, so we are about to begin as soon as everyone takes their seats. So please be patient with us for a couple more minutes. That's it. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. I know it's a fundraiser, but saying salam is free. Assalamu alaikum. There we go. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out here to support this great cause. And as we should start everything in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to enlighten us with some beautiful verses of the Quran, I'd like to invite a local youth member, Heather Naeem.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة مئته حبا والله يضاعف لمن يشاء والله واسع عليم. الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله ثم لا يتبعون ما أنفقوا منا ولا لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. صدق الله العظيم. The example of those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah is like a seed which grows 7 spikes. And each spike is 100 grains. And Allah multiplies for whom He wills. And Allah is all-encompassing and knowing. Those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah and then do not follow up what they have spent with reminders or injury will have their reward with their Lord. And there will be no fear concerning them, nor will they grieve. Thank you.
Takbir. Jazakallah khair, Heather. Now, I can't promise this will be as entertaining as the presidential debates that we've seen over the past couple of weeks, but this is for a great cause, so that's what we can look forward to. Now, before we start, I want to share with you 2 quick stories. At your table, you'll find this small banner that's also on the screen ahead. If you look at this banner and you see these 2 girls that are in between on the right and left side of the logo, the Shogha Khan logo, right here on the left side, or I think on your right side, this girl's name in the black hijab is Khushbu Nawaz. And on the right side of mine, the girl in the glasses, her name is Saba. Now, Khushbu Nawaz was 3 years old when her mother spotted a white dot appearing on her eye. After a couple of days, the spot continued to grow. Khushbu came from a family of 5 children and she was the youngest. Their family was from Katak, Sawad. They when they saw this eye spot, they took her to a doctor in Peshawar, which they had to loan money because her father was a carpenter, so they couldn't afford the treatment. From there, they found out she had cancer, which they had never heard of before. Now, already, they had taken a loan out to visit the doctor in Peshawar. From there, they found out about the treatment costs in Pakistan for cancer. Their doctor advised that they visit Shaukat Khanum Hospital, where they received great news that their treatment for Khushbu Naz would be free. From there, she battled 1 year through chemo sessions, through radiation sessions, and alhamdulillah, today, she is cancer-free, and this is actually a recent picture of her smiling and living her life away. So think about that test that she had to go through. Think about the test that her parents and family had to go through. They moved all the way to Lahore from Sawat, just so that her daughter could live. And think about the du'as and the prayers that they not only made for their daughter, but also for the people that supported this, that allowed them to have a free treatment throughout her test with cancer. Now, on the right side is a girl named Saba. She is also from Okara, Punjab. She was also diagnosed with a cancer of the eye. She had a tumor behind her eyeball. Like Saba, like Khushbu, her family also could not afford treatment for cancer. Her doctor recommended that she visit Shaukat Khanum Hospital. From there, she received the great news that her treatment would be free as well. She fought her chemo and radiation sessions, and now today she's 7 years old, and as you can see, she has an artificial eye, but she still has a smile on her face. Now, why I mention these stories is because sometimes when we're sitting so far away from a cause, we don't really see how our donations help or how our support helps. But Khushbu and Saba were treated first and foremost by the will and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, by people like you sitting at events like these and supporting causes like this. We sometimes don't realize how far our dollar actually can go. To us, it might be a number, but to someone else, it's a breath. To someone else, it's a chemo session. To someone else, it's a radiation session. So these are the small things that we can make a difference with. And I would like to thank all of you guys for coming out tonight. And inshallah, before we leave, we get to not only help other Khushbus and other Sabas in Pakistan that are suffering with cancer, but we get to bring smiles to their families and loved ones as well. Now, I would like to welcome our chief guest, Fauzia Kasuri here, who flew in all the way from Pakistan. She's the chief guest for tonight. And why we're gathered here tonight is to support a hospital network in Pakistan called Shaukat Khanum Hospital, Memorial Hospital. It was established in 1994. It was established in Lahore by Imran Khan, who was well known for his political party as long as his cricket career, before he joined a political party. Shaukat Khanum provides 75% of its patients with free or discounted care. That's 75% of its patients since 1994. So far, till this date, it has raised $270 million from donors like us. That's a huge number, $270 million. Why? Because the trust, the accountability, and the services that Shaukat Khanum provide are top-notch. From the latest equipment to the top doctors flying in from all over the world to serve. Just this year alone, last year alone in 2015, they served 43,000 cancer patients and 205,000 outpatients. So small surgeries, small checkups, stuff like that. Currently, why we're here tonight is to support their latest cause. They opened up their second cancer hospital in Peshawar, Pakistan. First, it was originally in Lahore, but the travel from all over Pakistan to one location was hard for all the patients. Think about it, you have cancer, you're traveling 12, 13 hours for your treatment. You have to think of a place to live, you have to think about how you're gonna get there. So they opened up a second one because 25% of their patients that visit Lahore are from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So they opened their second location in Peshawar in 2015, this past December, and now it's on their finishing stages. It's operational, it's working, but they need a last final push that will get the hospital in full gear. And that's why we're here tonight. Now, to call up next, I would like to call a local ISGC member. He's been serving this community for many years. He's currently serving as the Vice President of ISGC, Brother Zahid Tajik, to welcome us all.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, Brother Nakash, for making my job easy, giving the details and the history of, mashallah, the Shaukat Khanum Memorial Cancer Center and Hospital. I welcome Sister Fauzia Kasuri, our chief guest, and all the brothers and sisters who are here tonight. We are blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be gathering for a cause which is a very noble one. May Allah give us the tawfiq to donate for this cause generously, because this center is alleviating the sufferings of the cancer patients. Though it is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the people who get sick, but still, we as human beings, we can contribute to alleviate the sufferings, to put some efforts and support these causes financially. Since this hospital is being built in the city that I was born, I have emotional attachment with this hospital. May Allah bless you all, and may Allah welcome you, and may Allah reward us all. Jazakumullah khair.
Thank you, Brother Zahid. Now, moving right along, to explain more about Shaukat Khanum and its up-to-date services, its platform and all, we have their international director, Sister Fauzia Kasuri, who has served 25 years of her life for this passion, traveled all over the world to raise funds for this. And inshallah, I pray that Allah gives her another 25 years to serve this great cause, and may Allah reward her for all her efforts. So without further ado, I'd like to invite the International Director of Fundraising for Shaukat Khanum, one of the founding members for Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, known more commonly as the mother of PTI, but to us, Ms. Fauzia Kasuri, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. First of all, thank you, Rita, very much. I'm really very honored that I'm here. I remember several years ago when we had a very drastic flood situation in Pakistan. Khalid Chaudhry Bhai had invited me here, and I remember that the people of Charlotte, all of you, my sisters, my brothers, were sitting here. You were very kind, and you had contributed a lot of money at that time for the people who were affected and devastated by the floods in Pakistan. I always feel very special when I visit overseas. I used to be a US citizen myself. I used to be a dual national. I spent a lot of time. In fact, my husband and I, we both went to university at UNCG and Chapel Hill. And Charlotte, we always visited. So Charlotte has a lot of meaning for us. It's always been a home. I have 3 children, and 2 of my older children were born in North Carolina. And this has always been like a second home. So we love North Carolina. And एक और चीज़ जो हमें यहाँ बहुत पसंद है, वो तहमीना और खालिद भाई बहुत पसंद है, और आप सब लोग बहुत पसंद हैं, who are very kind and very generous. The young man here was explaining about Shaukat Khanum and the cause that it serves. So you all know it is an established charity with very transparent accounting procedures, doing great service that people on the ground see and feel. And we all know, alhamdulillah, we are healthy, we're alive, we're sitting here today. But we know that there is hardly a family anywhere in Pakistan or elsewhere in the world that has not been affected by this curse of cancer. So Shaukat Khanum Cancer Hospital is an institute, a medical facility, a cancer institute, which if you compare, comparable by any Western standards, is one of the best cancer institutes in the world. And especially because 80% of the patients at the hospital are treated free of any cost to them. This is not happening anywhere. And the treatment that they receive, like it was mentioned earlier, the doctors, the training programs, the nurses, the medicine, the equipment, everything is coming from the West. So it's a very advanced institute. And apart from treating cancers, it is also a research institute. So constantly there are training programs and seminars and conferences, people visiting from all over the world to make improvements in the hospital and to make the facility better for those poor in Pakistan who don't even have enough to buy an aspirin for themselves. What to speak of treatment for cancer? So cancer is that kind of a disease that threatens life. So when good people like you contribute to the cause of cancer, of Shaukat Khanum, you are actually helping to save lives. And I'll be very honest with you, when I'm in Pakistan and whenever I have the opportunity, I personally go to the hospital. And I have been doing this for over 25 years. The Tehreek-e-Insaf came much later. I have been involved as a volunteer with Khansa even before the hospital was on the ground. There was no building, there was no hospital. All that we used to have were plans from the architect, pieces of paper that Imran Khan used to travel with to raise money for what was his vision of setting up a cancer hospital. And alhamdulillah, by the grace of God and with the support of Pakistanis worldwide, it is one of the best institutions in the world today. Alhamdulillah, it's doing great service. It is only possible because good people like you come forward and you want to help it. I don't know the people who are being treated there. You don't know them, but our conviction is Allah is always watching and we do these things for ourselves. I have always believed that khairat we give because we want to do it for ourselves. This is huququl ibad, when we help to save other people's lives and when we help to build their lives. And I want to share this with you, that these two little children, innocent children, we already heard about them. There is a young girl, her name is Sumaira. Now Sumaira was about 13, 14 years old when she was discovered with leukemia. So her parents brought her to the hospital. Naturally, they were poor. They had to pull her out of school. And she was treated at Shaukat Khanum Cancer Hospital for 4.5 years. In those 4.5 years, Sumaira, mashallah, became 17, 18 now. So when the time came to discharge her, she was cured of her illness. But when the time came for her to be released from the hospital, her parents met the doctors. And the doctors asked the parents that they were very happy that now Sumaira was all cured. And where was Sumaira going to start studying? And where would she go to school? So the parents said, whatever money we had saved, it has all been spent. Not for her treatment, but they were poor people. They had other children and they had to come and visit her all the time and be with her, assist her in so many ways. It is such an emotional trauma it is. So they said they did really not have any resources. So the doctors decided on their own that they would all pool in their resources and send Sumaira to school, which was a wonderful thing on their part to do. So they did that. They put Sumaira through high school. When she finished her matriculate, which is the equivalent of high school in the US, they sent her to college. She was a good, bright student, and mashallah, she was healthy and all recovered and well. She was studying well. So they put her to college. Then Sumaira completed her bachelor's in business administration. And आप ये देखिए that after that, mashallah, Sumaira is currently, immediately after that, she was employed in the marketing department of Shaukat Khanum Hospital. And alhamdulillah, she's working there in a manager's position at the hospital today. She makes good money for her family, for her younger brothers and sisters. So ये अल्लाह की तरफ से होता है कि Shaukat Khanum not only saves lives, लोगों की जिंदगियां भी बनाने की कोशिश करते हैं और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह वो बच्ची आज जिंदा है और वो इतने अच्छे काम कर रही है. She is, such a productive member of her family and she is happy. She is alive. But this was not possible if her cancer had been ignored, if she had nowhere to go. So आप लोगों के जो contributions हैं, it really helps to build and save lives. And we are alive today. हमारी जिम्मेवारी है. We don't have to know. ये आप मुझसे बेहतर समझते हैं. You're all good people, माशाल्लाह. इतना beautiful आप लोग यहाँ पर काम कर रहे हैं. इंसानियत हम मुसलमान, we are Muslims. It is our obligation to worry about another person who is not as fortunate as we are. And we do that, alhamdulillah. And the strength of humanity is good people like you. So I stand here in front of you today and I appeal to you. The hospital has an annual budget, the Lahore Hospital, of $60 million a year. And all this money comes from contributions. 3/4 of the money is collected in Pakistan. People in Pakistan make up the bulk of the donations. And 1/4 is collected from overseas Pakistanis. We have another hospital in Peshawar, which is, mashallah, just a beautiful building. And it is even going to be far more advanced than the one in Lahore, because obviously it's all new architecture, the equipment is all new, it's coming in. And the opening was held last year in December. Inshallah, early January, the Karachi hospital will have its groundbreaking as well. It should have started some time ago, but there were some glitches because of Imran Khan's politics. The government in Sindh was creating a lot of issues, and very many times the land that was assigned and bought for the hospital, somehow it could not go through. But now we have a donor who has donated land, and it's a clean title, and everything is in order, and inshallah that groundbreaking will take place in January, and there will be a hospital in Karachi also. So I'm very grateful, Khalid bhai, that when I spoke to you and I requested you that we needed some funds urgently before the end of the year. This is the first event that has started, and inshallah during the month of November I'm going to 10 different cities for similar events where inshallah we will raise some money for the hospital. So before the end of the year the much needed funds will come in. I request you all please to contribute what you can. If someone asks me ever for anything, whatever little I may have, I like to give a little bit. Even if it is just $5, I want to put something, I want to give something if someone asks. Because I always think that Allah is great that someone is asking me. I don't have to ask anyone for anything. So this is always to be considered an opportunity when someone appeals to you for a good cause to just give whatever little you can give. Allah is the one who decides the worth of our contributions. So it's not about donating thousands of dollars, but it is always, and this is especially for my sisters who are sitting here. Yes, you have your spouses on the other side, but whatever you can give out of your pocket, out of your purse, out of your saving, little bit, but do make a contribution. Because if we're alive today, God forbid, I could have been sick, I could have been in a hospital, I could have been somewhere else, but I'm not, I'm healthy. And Allah has given me the courage and the himmah and the passion to do what needs to be done. And that is why you all are here on a Saturday night, on a weekend cold night. You are sitting here because you want to support a good cause. This is all about humanity and being humane. So please, whatever little you can give, do give it because it is much needed. I want to very quickly just tell you briefly about one of the most popular programs at the hospitals in Pakistan, whether it is Lahore or whether it is Peshawar or it's going to be Karachi. Just to give you an idea, like a donation of $7,000 treats a cancer patient of lymphoma. $8,000 is the complete treatment cost for breast cancer. Then for leukemia, depending on what stage it is in, and so on and so forth. But the most popular program that people like to help the hospital also with, of course, it goes into operation theaters and nursing rooms and recovery rooms and all that. But what people really like doing is, there is a contribution of $5,000 that you make, and that sponsors 1,000 square foot of constructed space at the hospital. And what it does is that the hospitals, both in Lahore and Peshawar, they have outside the hospital there is a huge wall, and it is called the Wall of Dedication. So when you make a contribution of $5,000, any name that you want to dedicate that donation to, that name will be inscribed on the donation wall, on the dedication wall. And it is the greatest form of Sadaqah-e-Jariyah. We are here today and maybe not here tomorrow. Everyone has to go and meet our Creator one day. But this is such a beautiful thing because you have made a contribution that will last forever and ever. Because you have invested and you have laid that brick which costs $5,000 to construct 1,000 square foot of space. So I encourage you, please, any one of you here today, if you're interested in doing that, you don't have to make that payment lump sum. You can break it into 2 installments. As soon as your second installment is done, you have to give us the name in writing, the person that you want to dedicate the contribution to, and then it will go on that wall. So this is just one of the popular programs there, and please participate. Thank you so much, all my sisters who have been responsible for doing these tables. I know that there is always the women's hand that goes into all this. So thank you very much for being here. All our brothers who are sitting here, thank you for your time. And thank you all so much. And Khalid Bhai, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come back to Charlotte and meet all these very kind and gentle people. Allah bless you all. Please remember me in your prayers also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Fauzia. May Allah always keep you safe in your travels, wherever you go, and may you always find success in this dunya and the akhirah. Ameen. Moving right along, just a quick notice. There's pledge cards on all the tables. You can fill those out. I've been told that you can write a check to ISGC as well, but in the memo you must put Shokha Khanam so that we can distinguish between masjid donations and Shokha Khanam donations. Next, for us visual learners, we have a short video clip that's going to show exactly what Shokha Khanam is and how it's operating today. So if you cannot see the screen, we're going to move this podium, but if you can't see the screen, feel free to move over this way a little bit, and same for this side as well.
Beta, excuse me, can you just announce that Shokha Khanam is a 501(c)(3).
Shokha Khanam also is a 501c charity in the United States, so all your donations are tax deductible. I believe the tax ID is on the pledge cards as well, for anyone that's interested.
It's another busy day at the Shokha Khanam outpatient department as people wait their turn to meet the doctor, young and old, men and women. The hospital receives 400 to 500 patients every day from all over the country. Cancer treatment is different in business around the world, and especially if you live in a country like Pakistan where most people live below the poverty line, they cannot afford it. Therefore, facilities such as Shokha Khanam provide even the poor a ray of hope. Almost 75% of the patients here cannot afford the high cost of cancer treatment.
Shokha Khanam stands for high quality care with access to everyone, especially the poor. Focus on education, both of healthcare professionals as well as others, and also research. These 4 threads make up what our mission is.
Shahzad has been receiving treatment for blood cancer for the past 2.5 years and is showing signs of recovery. In a country where cancer makes a death sentence for the poor, there is now some hope.
My son was suffering from blood cancer, and I was not able to afford its cost. But one day I visited Shaka Khan and found it a blessing for my son, who was under treatment here for the last 2 years, free of charge. He has recovered a lot.
Not long ago, most people went to India or Singapore to get a scan, but this purpose-built hospital is now equipped with the latest state-of-the-art equipment. Almost 10,000 patients are treated here every year. The hospital plans to expand its capacity and build more such facilities around the country. In a poor country like Pakistan, this hospital has given you hope.
इसके अलावा पेशावर में एक वॉक-इन क्लिनिक भी मौजूद है, लेकिन मुकम्मल इलाज के लिए लोगों को एक दुश्वार और सब्र-आज़मा सफर तय करके लाहौर आना पड़ता है और इनको तवील सफर के साथ-साथ आयाम और दाम के भारी अखराजात भी बर्दाश्त करने पड़ते हैं।
काफी मेडिकल अस्पतालों पर काम उससे बताया कि इसका केस है तुम्हारी क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा देश के मेरा काफ़ी बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किलात है आने जाने का बस के जरिए गाँव आ जाते हैं तो उससे तकरीबन 12-13 घंटे लगते हैं और बहुत ही ज़्यादा मज़ीद मुश्किलात का सामना होता है एक एक बच्चे को क्योंकि 8 महीने हो गए माता के साथ आ रहे हैं क्योंकि ये पता नहीं चलता कि हमारे यहाँ स्टे कितने दिन का ये अफगानिस्तान से आया है पाकिस्तान में
खैबर पख्तूनख्वा और शुमाली पंजाब के अवाम दोखम, मर्दान, कोहाट और मिंगोरा जैसे शहरों से हाईवे के जरिए आसानी के साथ सूबाई दारुल हुकूमत पेशावर पहुंच सकते हैं। ये अस्पताल 50 कनाल के रकबे पर तामीर किया जा रहा है। इसका पहला मरहला 3 साल में मुकम्मल हो जाएगा, जिसमें आप पेशेंट क्लिनिक्स, कीमोथेरेपी की सहूलियात और एक इनपेशेंट यूनिट भी शामिल होगा। पहले मरहले की तकमील के अखराजात अंदाजन 2 अरब रुपए होंगे। दूसरे और तीसरे मरहलों में रेडिएशन और सर्जरी की सहूलियात शामिल होगी। इसके अलावा इनपेशेंट बेड्स की कुल तादाद में भी इजाफा होगा और मुकम्मल इंतहाई तिब्बी निगहदाश्त यानी ICU का एक मुकम्मल यूनिट भी इसमें शामिल होगा।
25% जो शौकत खानम कैंसर के मरीज आते हैं वो पख्तूनख्वा से यानी कि आप अंदाजा लगाएं कि आबादी कितनी है सारे KP प्रोविंस की और उसके बाद देखें कि कितने ज्यादा कैंसर के मरीज सिर्फ उधर से पख्तूनख्वा के इलाके से आते हैं। इसलिए हम लोगों ने पेशावर में एक नया शौकत खानम कैंसर हॉस्पिटल आपकी मदद चाहिए इसमें क्योंकि अगर हमने पाकिस्तान के अंदर कैंसर का इलाज करना है तो पेशावर में कैंसर हॉस्पिटल की शदीद जरूरत है। वो एक तो बेचारों को बड़ा सफर करके आना पड़ता है, दूसरा अस्पताल में जगह नहीं। एक कैंसर हॉस्पिटल पाकिस्तान की कैंसर का इलाज नहीं कर सकता। शौकत खानम पूरा भरा हुआ है, बेड है नहीं, बेचारे इतनी दूर से मरीज आते हैं और आखिर में उनको जगह नहीं मिलती। तो मैं आप सबसे दरख्वास्त करता हूँ कि हमारी मदद करें शौकत खानम कैंसर हॉस्पिटल पेशावर की और जो सारे पख्तूनख्वा बल्कि अफगानिस्तान से भी जो कैंसर के मरीज आते हैं उनका इंशाल्लाह हम पेशावर में इलाज करें। तो मुझे उम्मीद है कि आप जिस तरह आपने हमारी शौकत खानम को हमें मदद की उसी तरह आप सब मखलूक तरीके से शौकत खानम पेशावर
मुझसे ज्यादा ये कहा जब खान सुन रहे थे
ये भी ऐसे ही है जैसे मैं अपनी माता के साथ
और जब खान सुन रहे थे लड़के को कैंसर हो गया एक तो कहीं ऐसे दवाइयाँ आने के पेटा लिया और फिर 3 साल की वजह से कैंसर हो गया अल्लाह ठीक भी हो गया लेकिन वो बस नहीं कितना
मुश्किल पड़ है कि अल्लाह ने शेर दी ये उससे उसी का करम है लेकिन ये अल्लाह किसी को समझा माँ बाप को समझा दिलाता माँ की जी
सरकार ने छात्र भी नहीं है छुट्टी के लिए मेरा एक ही बेटा एक ही बच्चा है आगे मैं कंप्लीट नहीं कर सकती इसे जब ये मैंने सुना तो मेरे लिए छात्रियाँ खत्म हो गई थी एक बार हुआ 1 साल इलाज हुआ फिर 2 माह ठीक रहे घर चले गए फिर दोबारा हो गया और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह आप लोगों की मेहरबानी के लिए बिल्कुल ठीक है अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मेरे पास बस कुछ भी है
अल्लाह इंशाल्लाह से बिल्कुल से जाओगे इंशाल्लाह
मेरा ताल्लुक के बाद जब मेरे बेटे को ये हुआ तो उस टाइम मेरे शोर मेरे ससुराल वालों ने मेरा साथ छोड़ दिया मेरे 2 बच्चे मुझे वो एक्साइटेड भी है मेरे पास ऐसे बात नहीं है जिनसे आपको शुक्रिया अदा करूँ मैं सोच के नहीं सकती कि मेरा बच्चा दोबारा ठीक हो जाएगा
पाकिस्तानियों हर इंसान की जिंदगी में कभी कभी कोई ऐसा मौका आता है जो उसकी जिंदगी का रुख मोड़ आज से 30 साल पहले मेरे घर में हादसा हुआ मेरी वालदा को कैंसर हुई क्योंकि पाकिस्तान में कोई कैंसर हॉस्पिटल नहीं था मैंने अपनी वालदा को बहुत तकलीफ में इस दुनिया से जाते देखा इस हादसे ने मुझे बदल दिया सबसे बड़ा मेरे ज़हन में ख्याल आया कि एक गरीब घराने के अंदर कैंसर हो जाए तो उनके ऊपर क्या गुजरती हो तब मैंने फैसला किया कि लाहौर में एक कैंसर हॉस्पिटल बनना चाहिए लेकिन इतना बड़ा मंसूबा ये मैं अकेला नहीं कर सकता इसमें आपने मेरा साथ अब ये हॉस्पिटल 21 सालों से लोगों की फीस जाने पे जा रहा है लेकिन एक कैंसर हॉस्पिटल सारे पाकिस्तान के लिए काफी इंशाल्लाह दिसंबर 2015 में हमारा दूसरा कैंसर हॉस्पिटल पेशावर में काम करना शुरू कर देंगे शौकत खानम पेशावर कैंसर हॉस्पिटल की तकमील आखिरी मराहल में हम का मुकाबला कर रही हैं और उनकी आंखें इस इंतजार में इस कौम के बेटे और बेटियां आगे उनकी मदद करें। जैसे आपने मेरा लाहौर कैंसर हॉस्पिटल बनाने में मेरी मदद की, उसी तरह पेशावर के कैंसर हॉस्पिटल को मुकम्मल करने में आपका मेरी मदद करें। आओ तारीफ दुआएं और शौकत खानम पेशावर मुकम्मल करके दिखाएं। मुझे पता है कि मुझे बड़े बड़े ख्वाब देखने की आदत है, लेकिन ये आदत आपकी ने डाली है और इस ख्वाब को भी आपकी ने पूरा।
That was a little too loud. That was a little small video clip. I hope you enjoyed it. It gave a little further explanation of what's happening. Just a quick correction, when you saw the construction happening, that video was about 3 years ago, so the construction is complete, the hospital is operating, but it's on its final stages of final completion. So without further ado, now the time that everyone's been waiting for, not dinner, the part where we can contribute, I'd like to invite a local face, the Imam of Islamic Society Greater Charlotte. For those of us who don't remember, Imam Atif is serving Charlotte for the last 3 years. He finished his undergrad in Islamabad, Pakistan at the Islamic University. After that, he came back to the United States, got his master's in US legal studies at St. John's Hospital, and now we are blessed to have him as part of our community, and inshallah he stays here for us in the future. Imam? Takbir? Also, a quick shout out, we never forget our local faces. Imam Khalil Akbar is here as well from Masjid Shaheed, Takbir. Imam Bassam from Islamic Center of Charlotte is here, Takbir. This right here is Imam Unity at its best. So I hope you're going to go to their events as well after this. Always.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وأحسنوا إن الله يحب المحسنين. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters. It's an honor to be here. It's a privilege that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen not only the people that are organizing this great event, not only the people that have traveled to support this event, but also the local community that is going to, inshallah, exceed their own expectations and support something that is good purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no other intention, there's no other motive, there's no other agenda in tonight's event. Is everyone clear on that? Does anyone need to be reminded why we're here tonight? Besides pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and earning salvation and Jannah and the happiness that Allah, the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The verse that I recited, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us that do good. Allah loves those people that do good. And tonight, every single person here, inshallah, is going to do good. We need this event to be good. We need to prove that this is a good community. This is not a weak community. This is not a community that lacks empathy. compassion, and love for the people that need it the most. You saw the video, you heard firsthand experience from one of the founders, one of the helpers of this organization, and many of you yourselves have experienced how tragic and how devastating cancer can be. Am I wrong? Just for the sake of clarity, I want everyone to raise their hands who has experienced or heard of a person who suffered cancer. It can be your loved ones, your relatives, your neighbors, or someone in your life you know that had cancer and was suffering through this tragedy. Please look around. Is this a small thing that we're here to fix? Is this a small thing, insignificant thing that we're here trying to make sure that people that need this get the help that they need? Everyone here has seen someone or has experienced someone or has known someone who has suffered. So does this mean that this is a small issue and that we need to be quiet, or that we need to think that no, someone else will take care of it? Or is this the night for us to show that we will not forget, we will not ignore, and we will not miss out on this opportunity that Allah has blessed us with? Everyone here has seen someone, and they have seen how difficult it can be. And this is what I'm going to appeal to. I'm going to appeal to your own experience and to your own pain. Because if you've experienced pain, you can understand what these people are going through. It is that pain that I want you to look at and try to understand and use that for your motivation tonight, inshallah. Because it is that pain that hopefully will open our hearts tonight. And just to show you how difficult it can be, I want to share an example. Our Habib and Master, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he found out that his son Ibrahim had died, when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was given the news that his own son Ibrahim had passed away, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had went and he picked up his son in his arms and he started to cry. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam started to cry. And tears rolled down his face. And he said that these tears, that this comes from the heart, because the heart is grieved. The heart feels that sorrow. But the tongue will not defy Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the tongue says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That we belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to Him we will return. This was how Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam treated the death of his own child. But when he was there holding on to his son, there was a mountain in front of him, and he said to that mountain, that if this mountain were to experience the sorrow and the grief and the pain that I'm going through, that mountain will crumble. The mountain will crumble. It will break apart if that mountain were to hold that grief of losing its child, of losing its son. Usama bin Zayd, radiallahu anhu, he was there and he started to cry. He started to weep when he saw Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam crying. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told him, don't cry. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm only crying because I saw you crying. I'm only crying because I saw you do the same. And the Prophet ﷺ said, I'm not telling you to go against the sadness in your heart. I'm telling you not to breathe out loud, not to wail, not to make noise. But be patient and have it in your heart that this is the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is there anyone over here when a loved one passed away that they in their heart did not feel pain? This is human nature. This is what I'm appealing to, your humanity. And this is what people go through, parents especially, when their children are put in a position where they know that this is what they're going to. This is the path when they find out that they have cancer. That this is the end that they will face, that they will die. If there's anything you can do in that situation, you would do anything. If there's anything you can give, you would give to save your child, to save your loved ones, your relatives. But what happens in many situations, like the sister had mentioned, people don't have enough money for medicine, let alone full treatment of cancer. So when you don't have power, when you don't have the means to save someone, imagine how difficult that is. Imagine how paralyzing that may be emotionally and spiritually. But we don't lose hope. As Muslims, we don't lose hope. Why? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has taught us better. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given glad tidings, and Allah has given immense reward and ajr to those people that help those in need. And this is what we're going to do tonight. We're going to help the people in need. And it's not a small thing. The sick, the people who face illnesses and these things, these are people that are not only tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but sometimes Allah has graced them. Because we think that a person who is sick, this is punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not necessarily true. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had said that sickness, ailment, it burns away the sins of a person the way that fire burns away the impurities in gold and silver. So Allah, this is the way of Allah raising the maqam, the rank of a person. It can be through mercy of Allah that He wants something better for that person in the akhirah. But it's not only the people that have the sickness that are being tested, but it's also me and you. This is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam put so much emphasis on visiting the sick, on going to them and making sure that you ask them whatever they need. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if a person is sick and they ask you for something to eat, give it to them. If they want something to eat, you should give it to them. And this is just food. Imagine the people that need medicine, the people that want to live, the people that want to experience a lifetime with their family and they don't want to miss out on other things. If they were to ask for that, and it's in your means to give it to them, you can give them treatment. Because there's many cancers that there are treatments out there. Imagine if that's what they needed. Would you deny them that? Would you deny them that treatment? There's a hadith that's mentioned in Sahih Muslim. Umar radiallahu anhu narrates this, that when you enter upon a sick person, you should ask them to do dua for you. You should ask a sick person to do dua for you, because their dua is similar to the dua of an angel. Meaning it's not rejected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not rejected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you help these people, imagine the du'as, the supplications that you are going to receive from them. Many people even say that in the hospital there's more sincere du'as than even in the place of worship. The sincerity in the du'as in hospitals, the people that have no other means except turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and asking for His mercy and asking for a way out, asking for an exit from this pain and tragedy that they're facing. Imagine if they were to say that, oh, Allah, help the people that help us. This is what we want today. And this is what I'm appealing to. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open our hearts and make it easy for us to help those that need our help. This is just to remind you. I know many of you have heard this yesterday also in the Jummah khutbah, and many of you have know the things that I'm saying right now. But this is just to remind you how important this is. This is not a small thing. This is not a small thing. Please don't take this lightly. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed many of us with so much money. But what good is that money if we don't use it in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What good is that money if we don't use it in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And I'll start with this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us all a choice. Allah has given us choice. Everyone that's here, no one can force you. I cannot force you. I want to make this clear. Allah has given you a choice. If you give today, it is from your own choice. Allah has given you free will. You can do good or you can ignore it, or you can do bad. You have a free choice. But you know who doesn't have a choice? Do you know who doesn't have a choice? The angels. When Allah gives them a command, they do what Allah has told them to do. And there's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that every day there's 2 angels that descend. And the one that gives in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that angel does dua for that person, may Allah give you more. And the one that does bukhl, the one that is miserly, the one that doesn't give, the angel curses that person. So even though you have a choice, the angels don't have a choice. So on this night, I'm asking everyone, please give in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we'll start. And I come to the soliciting. I'll start with $5,000. Is there anyone that will raise their hand for $5,000? Takbir! So that's 2 brothers. Takbir, that's 3. Takbir, that's 4. Is there anyone else on the sister's side? Takbir, that's you're raising your hand? Takbir, that's 5. $8,000. This is separate from. So that's 25,000 plus 8. How much is that? 33. It's a good start. But like what you heard the sister say, what's their budget for a year? 60 million? $60 million. $60 million. There's no ceiling tonight. We have no expectations, but we have no limitations either. So we're up to 33,000. And the reminder is this. We do this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do this because everything that we have is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Am I wrong? No. And when you give in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah increases your wealth. And the only time you can give is when? When you're alive. After you die, you cannot give anything. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had mentioned in the Quran that the people that give from the rizq that Allah has given them, that after they die, they're going to ask Allah, let us go back so that we can give more. Let us go back so that we can be from the Saliheen. But then that's it, the door is closed. So if you have been given this opportunity tonight, do not ignore this opportunity. And make sure that your name is included in those people that supported this institution, because this is a sadaqah jariyah. This is something that will continue much, much, much longer than your life will be on this earth. And this is from the teaching of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I want everyone to realize this, that we're not just helping one person. Now, many times a person is in need, I will make the appeal, or someone from the community will make the appeal, and we will help that one person. And that is great. But tonight, we're not helping just one person. We're helping an institution. We're helping a place where there will be hundreds, if not thousands of people that will benefit. And this is from the teaching of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that if you have a plant, a small sapling, a small plant, that you should plant it into the ground. And then when it grows, whoever benefits from that tree, you will get the reward for all of them. The people that eat from the fruits, the birds that eat from the fruits, anyone that benefits from that tree, you will get the reward. And that's just the tree. Imagine a hospital. How many people are going to benefit? Is there anyone else that will raise their hand for $5,000 before we go down? Is there anyone else that will raise their hand for $5,000? And we'll come down to 4,000. Is there anyone that will raise their hand for $4,000? This is less than $450, I believe. This is less than $450. Some of our car payments are more than what I'm asking you to do right now. I'm asking you to save hundreds of lives. I'm asking you to fix an appropriate and blessed and promised transportation from this dunya to Jannah. I'm not asking you to pay a car payment that will take you from point A and point B in this dunya. I'm asking you for something that will take you to paradise. Is there anyone that will give more than they're giving for their car payments? $4,000. $4,000 to anyone that gives. We'll come down to $3,000. Is there anyone that can give $3,000? Anyone that will raise their hand for there's a young girl that's raising her hand. Does she have permission? parents? $3,000. Is there anyone that will raise their hand for $3,000? So alhamdulillah, we did a small appeal yesterday in Jumu'ah, and we've collected $30,000 from yesterday's Jumu'ah's collection. And this is on behalf of ISGC. ISGC, through the collection of our congregants in our community yesterday, we made $3,000. Takbir! Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all the people that have given so far, today and also yesterday. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them all a place in paradise, shower their families with blessings and happiness and joy, and increase their rizq and their happiness, also in this dunya and also in the akhirah. So this is from yesterday's collection. Also, takbir! There's also another $3,000 donation from anonymous donor. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. So this is $3,000. Is there just one more person? We'll move on. Is there anyone that will raise their hand for $3,000? $3,000 in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. $3,000 as a means of protecting yourself from the hellfire. Is there anyone that will spend $3,000? And remember, all of us raise our hands that we know someone that was afflicted by cancer. Give permission. Takbir! May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this young child and his family and his parents that have given him great tarbiyah and made him learn a good lesson today. Now when you raise your hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you and honors you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honor this child and give him success in the dunya and also the akhirah. Aren't you his brother? Are you guys, their parents have permission? Okay. So his brother's raising his hand too. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him tawfiq in the future, inshallah. So, whatever you give in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is something that will not be betrayed. This is not something that will be ignored. This is a promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He will increase your reward. Whatever you can give today, don't think that you are more charitable. Don't think that you are more merciful than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You give and Allah gives you much more back. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you more. So we have 3 people or $3,000. Is there anyone else that will raise their hand? Anyone else that has iman in the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He will increase your reward. Now, what Haider had recited earlier from the verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He raises the reward up to 700. And even that is limited based on the sincerity of the person that's giving. Allah actually gives according to how much He wants to give. Allah can give you even more than that. Is there anyone else that has any doubt in the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? One person came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with a camel, and he gave it to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, Ya Rasulullah, this is for the path of Allah. This is fi sabilillah. I give this in the way of Allah. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you many camels. There will be many camels on the day of judgment. There will be 700 camels. So that one camel was multiplied 700 times. This is the reward that Allah gives to people on the day of judgment. Whatever you give now, you might think that it's small, but if your sincerity is there on the day of judgment, you will be shocked by how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala multiplies it. Don't think what you're giving is small or insignificant. Remember, Allah is multiplying. Allah is multiplying whatever you give today. Is there anyone else that will raise your hand for 3,000? We'll come down to 2,500. We come down to 2,500. Is there anyone that will give 2,500? This is a little bit more than $200 a month. Remember, what you give today, or what pledge you make today, you don't have to give it all at once. You can fill out the pledge forms, and you can give it in installments, and you can send it directly to Shortcut Khanum, their 501c organization here, registered in America. You can send it to them directly. You can make monthly installments, monthly donations. So 2,500. Is there anyone that will raise their hand for 2,500? For a little bit more than 200. Sisters, so far you've been very quiet. You've been given that reminder by Sister Fauzia that you also have a responsibility. Don't think that your husbands will be the only ones that will be asked on the day of judgment in regards to the finances or money that they have been given. Your money is your money. Your husband's money is also your money. So don't forget that. Whatever you give your husbands and your family members and your loved ones, they will also get the reward. So please, don't just think of yourselves, but also your husbands. You can give them their name.
got another 5,000.
Takbir, another 5,000. 2,500. Anyone? Anyone that will raise their hand for 2,500? 2,000. Is there anyone that will raise their hand for $2,000? $2,000. Anyone that will raise their hands for $2,000? Remember, we all need to make a difference. And what's in front of us is something that is a huge and a monumental effort. And there's a lot of funds that are needed. So again, like I said, there's no ceiling. So we need you to make sure that you understand the gravity of this situation. And we need you to understand that this is not something that's being wasted, but this is something that's going into your own account. On the Day of Judgment, when you look at what you have given in this world, it will be a surprise to you more than anyone else. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you more than you expect from following the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Remember, when we say we follow the sunnah and we want to follow the path of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we can't ignore the fact that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the most generous and charitable of people. So when we say that we want to follow and emulate the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then you have to show immense and great generosity. So don't choose something that you know that you can afford. Choose something that's more than that. Because when you make the intention of giving something, Allah will not betray you. Allah will give you the tawfiq. Allah will send you the funds from places that you would have never expected. From places that you would have never expected. So when you give it the way of Allah with a good intention, Allah will make it easy for you. Is there anyone that will raise their hand for $2,000? 1,500. 1,500. Remember, what you give in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a promise. This is something that will protect you from any obstacles or any difficulties that you may face in this dunya. When you give sadaqah, when you give charity in the way of Allah, takbir, that's one for 1,500. We need more. Is there anyone else that will raise their hand for 1,500? Someone from the women's side. $1,500 from everyone. Remember, if someone is sick in your family, you can give the sadaqah on their behalf. You will get the reward and they will also get the benefit. Sadaqah takes away the sickness and the obstacles and the difficulties a person might face. So $1,500 is not asking for too much. A little bit less than $100 a month if you give it over the year. There's laptops that are more expensive than $1,500. We buy our children MacBooks that are more expensive than the money that's needed for the treatment of children that have cancer. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about treating people that have nowhere else to go. That they have no other options except the generosity of Muslims and believers. This is our responsibility. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made it abundantly clear. When you help people in tragedy or in distress or people that are going through difficulties in this dunya, Allah will help you in your tragedy and in your difficulty in the akhirah. So if you want an easier akhirah, then help people that are facing difficulty in this world. And like you've seen, this is a huge difficulty for the people that are afflicted with any type of sickness, let alone cancer. Is there anyone that will raise their hand for $1,500? We come down to $1,000. Is there anyone that will? Takbir. That's one. Takbir. That's two. Takbir. That's three. Anyone else for 1,000? Takbir. That's four. Anyone else that will raise their hand for $1,000? We need some of the younger generation to also raise their hands. Takbir, anonymous donor for $1,000. Takbir, anonymous donor for $1,000. Is there anyone else from the younger generation? I've seen a lot of elders, a lot of people that are established that are raising their hands. Young people can also afford $1,000. It's not too much. Remember, this is our responsibility also. This is not something that we leave to our parents or to our elders. If you have a job, if you have an opportunity, you have a means of getting income, then you should also take part in this. $1,000 is not too much. And I'll give you the example. In Surah Qalam, there's a story where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about a garden that was owned by a man, and he would give the fruits of that garden to the poor, the masakin and the faqir. He would give them food, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put so much blessings in that garden. And he reaped that benefit in this dunya and also in the akhirah. But when he had died, his children, they became miserly, they became stingy. And they said, you know what, our father, he didn't have a business mind. He didn't realize that he's wasting money on the poor. So we're not going to give it to the poor, and we're not going to give them from the harvest, from the fruits that we acquired from this garden, from this orchard. So they decided that they were going to go and they were going to collect all the fruits and tell people that it's gone, it's done with. But before they went, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed that garden. It became nothing. And when they went there in the morning, they realized their mistake. They realized that what they had was a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you ignore that responsibility, when you ignore giving in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you ignore saying even inshallah, this is what happens. So what you have right now is a blessing and the hard work of your parents. But you also have a responsibility. Your parents will take the good deeds that they have earned and that they had, put their effort into, and that will benefit them. But what will you do? What will you do? $1,000. Is there anyone else that will raise your hand for $1,000? $1,000. Remember, I want everyone to understand that over here, what you are given is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and a means of proving your iman. When we ask for funds, what we're doing is we're affirming our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're affirming our faith in Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We're affirming our Islam. We are proving that we are believers. And I'm not saying this. This is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saying this. He said that your charity, your sadaqah, it's burhan. It's evidence, it's proof. When you give in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is proof of your iman. Is there anyone over here? And look, I don't need your proof. You don't have to prove it to me. You don't have to prove it to anyone here. Who do you have to prove it to? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, when you will be asked, this is the proof that you will have. Oh Allah, I gave in your way because you asked. I gave in your way because you wanted us to give in your way. So please, is there anyone that will raise their hand for $1,000 to prove their iman? $1,000. $1,000. On the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to say that I was sick and you did not help, you did not visit me. And the people are going to say that, oh Allah, how can you be sick? You're the master. How is that possible? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say that my servants, they were sick and did not go visit them. And the idea is to help them. So when you're doing this, when you help the sick and the needy and the impoverished, the naked, the hungry, the people that are homeless, when you help them, you're doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is there anyone here that will raise their hand for $1,000? We come down to 500. Is there anyone that will raise their hand for 500? Takbir. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our Imam Khalil Akbar and also Mr. Shaheed. On behalf of Mr. Shaheed, he announced 500. Is there anyone that will raise their hand for $500? Takbir. That's 2. Takbir. 3. Takbir. 4. Takbir. 5. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our youth. Takbir 6, Takbir 7, Takbir 8. So mostly from the men. Anyone else from the sisters that will raise their hand? Takbir 9. Anyone else? We can go to 11. Let's make that an odd number. Takbir 10. Takbir 11. Takbir 12. Takbir. This is 200. This is 200. So is there anyone else that will raise their hand since it's 200? 250. Anyone that will give $250? No one should go tonight. Takbir. That's 1. Takbir. That's 2. Takbir. That's 3 for 250. Takbir. That's 4. 250. Anyone else that will raise their hand for 250? $250. Remember, no one should go tonight without giving something. This is not a test only for the sick. This is not something that we're doing for their sake, but this is something we're doing for ourselves also. Tonight when you give, don't think that you're just doing it for their benefit. It's you that will benefit. You're doing it for yourself. You will be the people on the Day of Judgment that will reap the benefits of the good deeds of a'mal that you have proven today. Is there anyone else? We have 4 people for 250. Anyone else that will raise their hand? Takbir. That's 5. Anyone else that will raise their hand for 250? Anyone else? Come down, inshallah, and this is for the last, we'll leave it. So is there anyone else? Okay, fine. Okay. So we'll come down to $100. Is there anyone that will raise their hand for $100? Takbir. That's 1. Takbir. 2. Takbir. That's 2. So that's 4. Takbir. 5. Takbir. 6. Takbir. 7. Takbir. 8. From the sisters. Takbir. 9. Anyone else for $100? So that we put our share in something that is much bigger than our donation itself, something that will help, something that can bring medicine and treatment and institution to a place that needs it the most. There's 2 more people that can raise their hand for $100, and inshallah, takbir to our PhD student. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him success in his education and make it easy for him to benefit the people around him in this dunya with his education, and also the people in the akhirah, inshallah. Anyone else? One last person, so we end on an odd number for $100. Anyone else for $100? Takbir. Now, remember, what you have promised, what you have raised your hand today for is to help all the Muslim brothers and sisters. The majority of the people that will benefit from what you have given are Muslims. There might also be some non-Muslims. There's no discrimination when it comes to helping the sick. But a reminder, this is not something that is something that is special about us. Even non-Muslims have done amazing work. This was the month that was dedicated. October is a month for breast cancer, and there's a lot of donations and millions of dollars that have been collected. And even today, there was a non-Muslim that came to the masjid around 4 o'clock, and she said that she found out about the fundraiser on Facebook. So a non-Muslim came to this masjid and she gave money to support this effort. So as Muslims, trying to help Muslims in a Muslim country, I think we have a greater responsibility. So I don't want anyone to go home. If you didn't raise your hand, that's fine. If you didn't raise your hand, it's not a problem. But no one should go today without making the intention or without putting something in the box. We also have a box here. You can put something in there. Even if you have to put in $5, just make sure that your name is written with the people that have given in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for the sake of helping the poor. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless everyone, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for your efforts and the help that you have given to the people that need it the most. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you help, assistance, salvation, and the shafa'ah of our beloved Master sallallahu alayhi wa sallam on the Day of Judgment. May He grant us mercy for the mercy we have shown. May He give us help and ease and comfort. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all success.
Thank you, Imam Sahib, for the wonderful sermon. Brothers and sisters, what I've been told is that we've raised close to $70,000 tonight. Takbir! That's $70,000. That's a huge number when you look at it. And that's only the pledges. We don't know what's still coming in, so once we get an updated number, we'll update that as well. But you want to know the true beauty of raising this money? Is the people that are suffering with cancer right now, actual Qur'an, the mothers that can't raise their children because they have this disease, the fathers who can't provide a living for their family because they're suffering with this disease, the kids who can't live out their childhood because they're suffering with this disease, is that they'll never know that you were a part of their treatment. That they'll never know that you donated to theirs. They're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help right now in their time of difficulty, and we are like their guardian angels here. But they'll never know. They'll grow up, they'll live the rest of their lives, inshallah, in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they'll never know that behind the will and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was this small community in Charlotte, North Carolina that helped them raise this, that helped them get through this difficulty. So let's give one big final takbir for everyone in this room. Takbir! Takbir! You guys don't sound like y'all raised $70,000. Takbir! There we go. And it's not over yet. We still have the best part, the food. We're going to go next to a quick question and answer session for all the brothers and sisters who have any questions. I'd like to invite our chief guest back on stage. We'll get a chair for you up here as well. Alright, I've just been told no political questions can be asked. So if you have any political questions, we'll have another session after this at my dad's house, my house as well, but he pays the bill, so it's his house. So everyone's invited for that. So we'll have a question and answer session now strictly on Shoka Khanum Hospital. So if you have any questions about what the budget is used for, anything like that that comes to mind, you have full right to ask. I know Sister Fauzia has plenty of knowledge about this subject, so she'll definitely be able to answer all your questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to come forward. You can say that.
Respected Sister Fauzia, God bless you for the beautiful work. My question is there, are you trying to approach the non-Muslim individuals and are the non-Muslim organization also for this work?
The question was that is Shoka Khanum trying to approach the non-Muslim networks in the United States, if I believe, and what's the update on that?
We do not discriminate. It does not matter. This is a question of humanity. It's a humanitarian cause. And I know that when we have events in other cities, there are a lot of local Americans who participate. I know for one because I organize a one in Washington, D.C. We have often invited people from the Congress. And Senator Hillary Clinton is a supporter of the hospital. And is just one of the Vice President Al Gore. He has continued to make contributions to the hospital. He has, we have a lot of people in Washington, D.C. that attend our events from the government. But we are not engaging any specific organization as such. Yes, the hospital works with various cancer research centers in UK and here in the US, but that is for different purposes, not for raising money. For the money, we generally tap the Pakistani diaspora. They are the people who really contribute first.
I would greatly appreciate it if everyone just stays quiet for these next couple of minutes. The dinner will start soon. These are really important questions, and we want you guys to have the confidence as well that these are being answered as well. So if anyone else from the sister side, brother side, anyone has any questions, please feel free. This is your chance to ask up and close. Any questions?
Since there are no questions, that means you're satisfied. Thank you so very much, all of you. I am so grateful to you. And believe me, I was sitting there and I was telling one of the sisters that I was seated next to, I honestly felt like crying because I know how you have come to an event where there's no music, there's no entertainment. You have done this purely for the pleasure of Allah. May God bless you, and Imam Saab, thank you so much. Thank you for educating us, and we always, I feel very fortunate that I was present here, and I want to thank all of you, all our brothers and sisters who are, this is a big amount of money. And this is like a lot of money for Pakistan. So Allah bless you. बहुत शुक्रिया आप लोगों का. Thank you.
We're going to finish up, but just like always, you start with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you end in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Sheikh Bassam, the Imam of ICC, will do the dua. So I encourage everyone to please stay quiet, bear with us, and after that, inshallah, we'll finish up with our dinner. And we'd like to thank all the volunteers who made this program possible. We'd like to thank all the volunteers that made this event possible, from the people that cooked the food, to the people that laid out the decorations, to the people that did the setup, to the people that made the phone calls. After dinner, once again, everyone is invited to our house for chai with Sister Fauzia Kasuri. If you need any address or anything, feel free to ask me and I'll provide that for you as well. And that will be a PTI, so Pakistan Tariq Insaf event, just to let you guys know. And so Sheikh Hassan will be doing the du'as to close out.
Assalamu alaikum. May Allah reward all of you. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا ومصطفانا محمد رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعه. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا برحمتك شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك إنه لا يعز من عليك ولا يذل من واليت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت فلك الحمد على ما قضيت ولك الشكر على ما أنعمت به وأوليت نستغفرك اللهم من جميع الذنوب والخطايا ونتوب إليك ونؤمن بك ونتوكل عليك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك اللهم تقبل من المتصدقين صدقاتهم اللهم تقبل صدقاتهم اللهم وفقهم لما تحبه وترضاه اللهم من أحيا نفسا فكأنما أحيا الناس جميعا اللهم وفقنا لإحياء الأنفس يا رب العالمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I love you all, and inshallah, be united, and inshallah, there are more good news to come, inshallah, in the near future. Assalamu alaikum, and please don't go without food, inshallah. And thanks to all those who have helped this beautiful function. Yeah, there are too many critical questions. We don't want to.